Michelle, we have placed a big stake on the college football playoffs first rounds. We picked 2 games. Well, it's only 2 games, but we picked winners. And if anybody goes 2-0, the loser has to eat one of those hot, spicy chips while we preview the championship game. So you got to pick your favorite for the first round matchup. I'm picking mine, and it pains me to say this, but Michigan is going to beat TCU, and here's why. This is a different team from what we saw last year, okay? They were dominant last year, but then we saw them lay an egg versus Georgia. Guess what? They're using that as motivation, and hopefully they don't look too far ahead to who they could possibly match up against in the championship game, because TCU is not one to play with, but this team, they got dogs. Let me tell you, this run game, their identity has changed from week to week. I feel like we've seen Michigan become a passing team after being a run game throughout the year. The star player goes down. Oh, they might not run the ball. Guess what? This line, these running backs, they're all built from the same breed, and they're ready to just run all over TCU. And this defense is a second half team, because they will look shaky in the first, then say, you know what? We took the best punch, and then they come out and straight lock you down. If you want to run the ball, ain't happening. Secondary, we're not going to let up big plays, and that's why I think this Michigan team is very scary. And you think about the fact that last year in the first round, they laid a huge egg. Jim Harbaugh, as a coach, is 2-6 in bowl games, okay? If you want a chance to be looked at as one of the greats of right now in college football, you got to get your team to the national championship game. You got to win a national championship. So if you take care of this TCU team, who a lot of people discredit, are a really good team, and it shows that they lost in overtime by 3. They could have won if a spot was ruled in their favor. This is no team to play around with or to look ahead to, because you got to win this one to make it to the next round. And I think Michigan will do that with a tough run game, a new explosive offensive passing game, and a stout defense that's probably going to try to limit them on a lot of big plays that TCU is going to try to get. So why do you think TCU is going to win, but you wrong, and you're going to be eating a spicy chip?
I am not wrong. I think TCU is going to win for a number of reasons, but the biggest one by far in my mind is Heisman Trophy finalist and quarterback Max Duggan. He is an exceptional football player. He plays with heart, and he's got a noticeable edge in a quarterback battle over J.J. McCarthy, despite the fact that we've now seen that J.J. McCarthy can actually sling the ball pretty well, and it's quite impressive. But Max Duggan is exceptional, and he's led this team to a very successful season and into the college football playoff. And when you look at the Michigan defense, particularly Michigan's rush defense, it's holding teams to 85 yards a game. So for TCU to win, it is absolutely going to have to look to Duggan and the receivers. And Duggan just might not be able to run the ball like he's used to. He's going to have to pass it a lot more. And, that sort of bodes well. If you look at the 9 players on TCU's roster that have at least 100 receiving yards this season, 8 of them are averaging at least 10 yards a catch. And that opens the door for big plays. Those big plays down the field, those big shots, that is what is going to lift TCU over Michigan, because you're not going to beat Michigan on the ground. That defense is way too tough. But if you can make their secondary feel out of place, get them out of position, catch them off guard, that is how TCU can win. Now, Michigan is, when it comes to defense, and this is, you can't underestimate that in any way. And I think a big thing there for TCU is Duggan is going to have to get the ball off fast, because Michigan's front 7 is so tough, so strong. It's not going to give him a lot of time, and the pocket might collapse a little bit faster than he's used to. So he's really got to get that ball off and have his receivers in position so that they can capitalize on making those big moments. When you look at this game in particular, especially compared to the other semifinal game, I think regardless of who ends up winning, this score is going to be closer than people think it is. I do think it's going to come down to the very end. It might not necessarily be the last play or the last drive, but it is not going to be a blowout like a lot of people think.
Yeah, and I can see this being a low-scoring game, because we've seen Michigan hold top offenses to around 20 points, and they also start slow. So if this is a game where you're getting field goals in the beginning of the game and then adjustments at halftime, like, I can see this being a 21-24 type game. Michigan wins, like you said, late game field goal or that touchdown or that defensive stop to get TCU off the field so they could burn clock at the end. I'm going with Michigan, as much as it pains me to say this, because I couldn't pick Georgia, so I got a Big Ten rematch in the national championship game. You have 2 teams that I don't know if they ever faced off in the championship game, but either way, I think we're going to have a fun first round matchup, and I can't wait to see whoever goes to the championship game.